Hello and welcome to Out of Britain with me, Radhika Iyer. This special episode on NDTV is going to be extremely relevant, special, and one which is very dear to me because we are going to be talking about wellness in general, happiness, spirituality. And it's so relevant in a nation such as Britain because I just received a press release from England NHS which said that just in the year of 2023 and 24, it has treated 4 million people in Britain for mental wellness and for mental illness, forgive me. So 4 million people who have been treated, but imagine the number of people who are waiting on a list just to be seen by someone and find that help. But this is just not about mental wellness alone. This is about connecting wisdom that is very quintessential to India. I'm coming to you from the very esteemed and the very lovely location in central London, in Mayfair in London, Nehru Centre, which celebrates everything about India. And with me are a bunch of stellar women who are full of knowledge, full of smiles, full of wisdom, and who are going to be sharing with us some of their expertise. And I'm going to get into this conversation quickly. Firstly, I want to say thank you to Anshu because Anshu, who is a podcaster and a dear friend, also runs various conversations. And this one is upon invite where she wrote to me this afternoon and said, Wellness Curated, which is a platform she leads, is having a discussion where women are coming together to discuss ancient Indian wisdom. Are you interested? And I said, hell yes. So, Anshu, we'll start with introductions because each of you are accomplished women here in Britain. We'll start with you.
So I founded a platform called Wellness Curated. It's a health and wellness platform and I do podcasts. Basically, the idea is to empower people with health and wellness so that they can then go and empower others.
Okay, great. Thank you. What about yourself?
I'm Brahmacharani Shripriya. I'm the resident teacher with Chinmay Mission here in the UK. We spread the message of Advaita Vedanta to people of all age groups and backgrounds.
Okay, thank you. And you said you're a student of Veda.
Yes,
Vedanta.
Student and teacher of Vedanta.
Okay, how does that work, being a student and teacher? But I'll explore that in just a moment. I can totally tell that. Yes, I can see wisdom reflecting. Yes, you.
My name's Sakshi and I'm the founder of a company called Food Hack. We create food products using Ayurveda, using clinical research, and making food your medicine. We also use technology to help spread food as medicine. So we have a Gen AI app on UK app stores that help you personalize nutrition for your longevity goals.
Lovely, thank you.
Hello, hi. Yep, I'm Dr. Deepa and, I'm a medical doctor and an Ayurvedic doctor. I'm a yoga teacher. I also practice Vastu and Jyotish. But in principle, I actually run a training academy. I train people to become Ayurvedic practitioners, yoga teachers, Vastu practitioners. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Sneh. My name is Sneh Joshi. I'm a Vedic astrologer and it's all based on science. And in today's day and age, I think we all need to find out what our future holds for us. And also, it is all integrated with the Ayurvedas.
I told you we have many stars here on the podium. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Dr. Varalakshmi. I'm a traditionally trained Ayurvedic doctor. I teach Ayurveda to modern living and how we can adapt Ayurvedic principles in this day and age.
Thank you, Dr. Varalakshmi. I'll start with this. I'm a news journalist, so forgive me for bringing out the numbers and the statistics and things which may not sound very pleasant, but 1 in 6 people in Britain are suffering from mental illness. Perhaps one of those 6 would be treated once in 3 years because of the demand that there is, and the NHS, as medical professionals, you are aware how demanding it is to be a medical professional and how much of a waiting space there is. So if you were reading such a thing, which I presume you would in tomorrow's papers because this press release has just come in, the core and the DNA that you have within you of being Indian origin, of knowing so much about Ayurveda, wellness, yoga in your case, astrology in your case, so much of science and wisdom from Vedanta philosophy, how would you react to such a such a piece when you think of it. You want to go?
Of course, all these 4-5 sciences that we've talked about, be it Ayurveda, Yoga, Vastu, Jyotish, the way we look into it from a Vedic point of view is that these are the 4 healing sciences of everyday life. So if I were to read something like that in the newspaper, the first thing that would come to my mind is, yes, yoga would definitely help, but in coordination with Ayurveda and, of course, Jyotish, Vastu, it is a combination of it all. And sometimes when we look into mental health illness, of course, on one hand, they can be quite severe, but it is how we approach it. That is when we see real, proper, but permanent changes. It's not just about, as we were talking earlier, popping pills. It's all about looking at a person in a more holistic way. And we, all of us, are very, very fortunate that we come from that background and tradition where we can actually apply all these 4 sciences in a more holistic way.
Did you ever think of something that we do most involuntarily in our everyday lives without realizing this is Ayurveda, this is yoga, this is why I have the grit and I'm able to survive the challenges that life throws at me, especially particularly I'm not living in India, which is my comfort zone. I'm away from India. So what do you involuntarily think of?
So it was really interesting you should mention that, because there's something that actually Sakshi does, which today we've organized through someone else, but there are these turmeric latte shots, which is haldi ka doodh. I think every Indian everywhere drinks haldi ka doodh. They have pains, they have aches, they drink haldi ka doodh. You also see a lot of people doing different forms of breath work. We call it pranayam, but every Indian child has been taught to do some form of breath work when they're nervous, when they're tense, and that helps. I mean, there's a lot that we don't realize, which is a part of our system. It's just there.
The DNA.
It's part of our DNA we've inherited. Like, you find so many people doing Surya Namaskar to the sun, sun salutations to the sun, which, again, I mean, when I do that, it sets me up for the day.
Yeah, sure. Yes, of course.
So I wanted to say that something so simple, even I have a 5-year-old son, and anytime he feels a little bit cold, he comes to me and say, "Mom, give me hot water." Something so simple, and Ayurveda says that hot water can help to cleanse that phlegm. It actually clears out the kapha inside our respiratory system. So something warm. So this is, I believe, what all of us agree is that it is ingrained into our DNA. Something so simple, something so natural for us, I believe. So I think we need it to bring it more into our lives.
Yeah, and make it also shareable knowledge for a nation such as Britain or anywhere in the West, which is so welcoming and ready to receive this wisdom.
In our cultural background, I think that's where it all stops. And when a child is born, the first thing parents do is take their chart to the astrologer to figure out what are we going to name this child. So it all starts from the very beginning. And that, I think that's the main reason why it's so ingrained into us, not like the Westerners. They haven't got a clue. And I think it's through us they learn yoga, they learn why we should look at astrology. How does astrology help us? There are so many misdiagnoses in the medicine field, which are not looked at. But through astrology, I can tell you which doshas are balanced. I can tell you what is wrong in your chart. Mental illness as well, to do with, is this person suicidal? We can look at all these things in Vedic astrology.
There's not one particular thing that can be offered to everybody. Because India offers so much of wisdom, pick what you relate to, what you like. Many are going to pick food. Because it's something we do every single day. It's something we wait for. It's something we aspire to sort of try. How's it going with Food Hack? And seriously, are there people who really care genuinely about what they eat and watch what they eat in a place like London?
Yeah, they do. That way, London's been a really good market. And like you, even I like numbers and statistics, right? So going back to your initial question of, 4 million people suffering from mental health, I'll add another statistic to that.
Yes.
Look at the NHS budget deficits and look how they've been growing. I think there's a budget deficit of like over $55 billion. At least that's the last number I read in the Financial Times. How is the NHS going to bridge that gap? I want to ask you that. Are they going to raise taxes? How much more can you raise taxes? Right? There's only one way to actually fix it, is alternative medicine. wellness, prevention. Prevention is better than cure. Whether it's through Vedanta, where you're trying to find joy and happiness, because what is mental health? Is the quest to find joy and happiness within you, right? Now, coming to food, there's about over 1,000 neurons that your gut and your brain shares. And actually, if you think about a country's wellness index...
Wait, sorry, you lost me there. There are 1,000
neurons that are... neurons are like the stuff that's in here, right? Like they need to be firing at the right firepower for you to function properly.
Yeah.
There's over 1,000 of them that are shared between the gut and the mind, right? So you have billions of gut microbiome bacteria, good bacteria, right? So if you feed it good stuff, that results in good neurons results in happiness. Happiness actually results in a country's wellness index. That means less war, less terrorism, less theft. Yeah. So actually, if you look at it from, a 10,000-foot view with numbers and data and statistics, I actually don't think that the Western world has a choice but to now open their eyes to all this ancient wisdom where you're looking at plants and nature and within yourselves and, practices to try and prevent illnesses. Because the majority of the healthcare spend actually goes on chronic diseases. Chronic diseases are lifestyle related. Right. Only 5% of these diseases are caused by genes. 95. So if someone says, oh, I have it in my genes, it's not necessarily true. Only 5% are triggered by those genes that cannot be reversed with lifestyle. 95% of those genetic diseases can actually be switched off. And like you said, 80% of your lifestyle is food. Yeah. Which is why I went after it. I mean, I also had a personal story, just like Anshu does over here, where I developed a rare liver breakdown that I managed to reverse by changing my food, even though doctors said to me it can't be done. And lucky for me, I have a healthcare background. So I go straight to the research to find out what can be done, because in life you don't give up. So that's how this sort of journey of Food Hack started, where actually the world does deserve to get access to preventative, alternative medicine. Food is medicine. I mean, now you have music as medicine and so many things, Yeah.
Indian music is becoming. Yeah.
One thing I want to add to what Sakshi said. So from all the podcasts that I've had with Indian and non-Indian practitioners, gut is a very important, exactly what Sakshi said, that the gut is very important in mental health. You sort out the gut, you're on your way to sorting mental health.
Yeah. Okay. It's all about that gut feeling. And can I add one more thing about statistics? Okay, yes. Hold on to your thought. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break because Sakshi has actually given me a segue into looking within, like Sri Priya suggests, quite strongly. And I think all of us here on this table, and I want to say we are accomplished, empowered women who choose to be happy, who choose to share wisdom. And that's a choice we have made. But we have stories to tell. And we have personal stories to tell, which has perhaps motivated us to lead a lifestyle such as what we represent today. So I'm going to dwell into that a little bit just after this break, but we'll start with your fact, because I'm a news journalist and I always will be. You will have personal stories too, and I'm sure this is something that you're connecting with. So stay tuned, and just after this break, we'll come back with more. Welcome back. How relevant is India's ancient wisdom for life today in Britain, especially at a time when there is so much of mental wellness related quest, and at a time when women are migrating in large numbers, especially to a place such as Britain. And here with me is a panel of some stellar women. Thanks so much for being and staying with us. Deepa, we'll start with you. You said you have statistics to share.
Yes, yeah. Talking about statistics, even I love those coming from a medical background. And I read an article, it was a medical article, where it said that there are approximately 7.2 million people on a waiting list. That means they have to wait for at least a year for various different illnesses and conditions, even to get a blood test done or an X-ray, MRI, and so on. And as I'm reading this article, I'm thinking, I wish, even if not all the 7 million, even it was maybe 100,000 people knew about Ayurveda, Yoga, Vastu, Jyotish. I know I talk about Vastu also because the science of spaces actually does impact us big time. And even if some of them actually looked into these other sciences, whereby, as you were saying, food, food is such a big thing in terms of our, be it inner and outer well-being. So someone like, just a very quick example is, I remember I took my son to a dentist and he had some pain. And then he was only 7 or 8 years old. And of course, he used to eat a lot of spicy and sour foods. And I know Ayurvedically that, it is not good for this bit. And when the dentist says, oh, maybe he might need some antibiotics, and I asked him, okay, fine, that's good. But what about food? His face went blank. And I'm like, no, that is where science needs to be integrative, whereby you may have these ailments and conditions, but include food, because food, as we say, food is medicine. We are what we eat, be it in our mind, in our body, in our energies, in our koshas, everything. So statistics, if even 7.2 million, but out of that, 10% of those look towards these kind of sciences, I'm sure the NHS waiting list would really drop down very fast.
We should be a supply. I'm sure. What's your story?
What's my story?
Why Wellness Curated?
So Wellness Curated, as I said earlier, was started because I had a personal health situation in my family. And it was just, this is my debt of gratitude to the universe, because I'm so grateful today that everything is okay. And the therapists I met, the wisdom I've had from the likes of all of you, I want everyone to get access to that.
So that's why the platform where people can come to listen, learn, implement.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Snake, what's your story?
Okay, my story is I'm a biochemist by profession, and I've done PhD in biochemistry.
A biochemist by profession,
Absolutely.
who's always reading the sciences.
Well, there you go. I was very young, and of course my parents are Indian, so obviously we looked to astrology, and I knew about astrology. And when I had a few problems when I was growing up, I went to a few astrologers, and all I heard is, somebody's done something to you, can we sort it out for you? And I got really fed up of that narrative. So I was having at this stage I got married, I was having my children, and I wasn't working. My husband was a businessman. I decided, I'm going to look at my own chart. And that's where I picked up astrology. I met all my gurus, and my husband is my top guru, by the way. He's an accountant by profession, and he taught me a lot of astrology when in those days we did not have any computers. All right, I'm going to be 70 this year. So I'm going back 40 years, literally 40 years.
You've done astrology for 40 years.
40 years, yeah. And that's what took me onto this platform. And I realized that there are a lot of charlatans in this field. So you need to be very careful who you go to. Talking about food, that was very interesting what Deepa said. It's about kapha, pitta, and vata. And if you can look in your chart, you can see what you're prone to, and you can adjust it accordingly. So there's so much in astrology that can help it.
Okay. Well, let's try.
So when I was little, honestly, I was this science buff. Like, if you bring me anything that is not related to research, as Sakshi was saying earlier, I was thinking to myself, everything has to be research-based. I used to catch cockroaches and then just dissect them. So that was into science and research. But when I was around like maybe 12, 13 years, as you grow up and I start to have my, periods and stuff, I start to have a lot of hormonal imbalances. And I visited like every known doctor in a very small town, Kakinada, where I come from. No one could put a finger on it. No one can do anything. I keep struggling every month on month. So then my dad took me to this Ayurvedic doctor first time. And he checked my pulse. He took the nadi. And then the first question he asked me was, what did you eat? What are you eating? Are you eating a lot of, I used to like a lot of pickles and stuff. So he asked me, what are you eating? Are you eating a lot of pickles and stuff? That was the first time ever in my life a doctor actually cared about what I ate when it come to my health condition. So that made me very, very curious. Why does he care about what I ate? What does it has anything to do with my health? Because up until that point, my understanding of science is about taking a pill and you get better and you go on with your life. So that's how I went on and I studied under him for a few years. And then when I came to intermediate and then reached that age, I chose Ayurveda and then became Ayurvedic practitioner. So
Thank you for sharing. Okay, we have 30 seconds each. You have stories to share?
Yes, well, I'm originally from India, born and brought up there, and all my studies are from India. People do ask me how come being a medical doctor you've moved into Ayurveda. It's actually the other way around. I come from a family of Ayurvedic practitioners, yoga teachers. My aunts and uncles have been deans and professors at university. But it's a very Indian attitude. I'm sure we all know that even when you're vaguely intelligent, they're like, oh, why do you want to study Ayurveda? You should become a medical doctor. So that is how I first qualified in gastroenterology. But then after that, I went on to study Ayurveda again in India, and then yoga, Vastu, Jyotish, all of that. So through that, my story is that whatever that I've been taught by my professors, my family members, one thing that they have told me is, yes, Ayurveda, yoga, Vastu, Jyotish, these are great sciences. No, it's knowledge. Knowledge is everything, it's bliss. But it is of no use if you can't put it into practice. So through my practice, through my academy, everything that I do, my aim is to make these sciences so practical so that people can take away and say, you know what, I've actually seen a difference. Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. What was CV she would make? Not a CV. Each of you. Yeah. And you.
So actually, I studied biotech as well, and first job was at Pfizer. Then kind of moved into investing in life sciences, where I mentioned previously, the learning professionally was that by the time you get a disease, it's too late. You know, it's all to do with lifestyle, but actually doctors don't study nutrition, there's no intelligence behind food, clinical research is quite noisy, and it's very noisy because it's funded by a lot of these large companies that are the large lobbyists and taxpayers, and they want you to get biased, and you know that's why you have fad diets and stuff. There is no intelligence behind it. What really pushed me into creating Food Hack was this personal story where I reversed an illness, even though doctors said no, just by looking at clinical research. So similar to Anshu, I was like, the world deserves this. There needs to be a different future of food, you know, where we all live longer, but healthier, happier. So that's the big vision and mission.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing your personal stories. I know it takes courage and perhaps takes you back a few years and makes you nostalgic, but maybe I should have told you this, viewers, when I asked your stories. Each of us must be struggling with, the change is too much to make. It'll take a lot of effort from me to make a little change. But look at these stories. These are stories of women who had normal lives such as yours and mine, and then who just decided that I'm going to take control of things and then I'm going to try and learn, and now are experts in their own field and are helping all of us get better and get happier. And if they're able to do it, I can, you can. And so it doesn't matter where you are in your journey in life, how within you're able to look, but as long as you can start from today with little things, maybe like Shri Priya said, pick what you relate to, what you like, and what is easy for you, and maybe stick to that. And if you don't like it, there's an alternative, because that's the beauty of India, right? It has so much to offer in terms of wisdom and knowledge, and spread it, because that's the beauty of being also in a city such as London, which is such a voice in the world, that when we speak from here, I think it's a bit louder, if you agree, compared to from many other places. So happy with those final thoughts? Is that a good summary? Okay, great. Thank you ever so much. If you have comments, or if you want to reach out to any of our lovely panelists here, please pop in a comment and we'll find a way to make that happen. Thanks ever so much indeed, and wishing you all good luck, great happiness. Radhika Iyer signing off.